What's up, everybody? Jack here with Rita. This is Work Smart Not Hard Live, and I've been recording for like 15 minutes without realizing that it's supposed to be a live stream, not recording. So we just restarted it. Basically. But Rita and I have just been chatting about our mentalities of getting things done. Patience over what?
Feeling good so that I can be inspired to do things that feel good and that are productive eventually. That's my feeling.
So how you get that feeling of wanting to do a thing versus knowing you should want to do something and making yourself.
Yeah, because I haven't been successful with making myself do things. I suppose in the past, you can get a certain amount of success, but I mean, in my position right now, I have a sort of job / business that pays my bills, that takes up, 30 plus hours a week. So I don't have to, there's no urgency to me to force myself to do anything. I realize I could take my time and find something that I enjoy. And that actually helps me enjoy my job more, my dog walking and dog sitting. I actually feel better about it, and I don't even feel like I have to do anything. Just for once, I built it, and it makes money, and now I can actually enjoy it. I can want to walk dogs. I mean, it's a dream job.
A lot of people would love it.
Yeah, and they don't feel like they can do it because they've got bills and so forth, and that's valid. And if you have a family to support, you can't just quit your job and overnight make money.
Yeah,
but
just relocate.
In my position, and that's. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You could, I think for dog sitting, dog walking, you kind of need, in my opinion, from what my experience tells me, is you need to be in an area that has somewhat affluent people. But
yeah,
you can
people
live,
who have dogs who can afford to drop extra money on caring dogs.
Yeah, so I guess the ideal would be if you could find a place that had those affluent people, but you could live maybe somewhere, I don't know, a half hour or something away.
Yeah,
maybe
somewhere cheaper.
Expensive. That would be the ideal for that particular situation, I think. But yeah, it's where there's a will, there's a way. But there's a lot, as we know, there's tons of things you can do that aren't location dependent. So yeah.
Second, I'm just live stream.
Sure.
Yes.
I saw the YouTube notification come up that you were live.
Okay, good. For some reason, it's not letting me see the. Try searching for. Okay, I just have to accept I can't see the chat. So let's see. I had like a week where I really didn't do much, to be honest. Like I didn't even do my daily thing. And so I went through a whole rut of like knowing that I wasn't doing it, but not doing it, feeling bad, And I understand that I will feel that way no matter what if I don't do something that I say I'm going to. And in this case, it's ironic because it's something very short, totally doable, that I just didn't properly set up. Basically, what's happened is I've neglected my environment, and that has led to a lot of other complications. Basically, I need to simplify myself again, to be like, okay, even though I think that the most important thing for me to work on is this Spanish content website, I need to make the most important thing for me to work on the cleanliness of my room. Um, I really love having the office, but I definitely am really stressed right now. I can tell that, like, before I just had one space to keep clean, one little space, basically my room, the kitchen right outside, the whole way. That was basically it. Whereas now there is a whole other house with multiple rooms and a yard. And there's other people, and my two friends are really busy, and they do clean a bit, but they're not gonna like before they leave clean everything so that when we arrive it looks nice. Like that sense that that's not something they care about.
Yeah,
So it puts me
yeah,
in a position a lot where like if I want stuff done, I got to remind people and tell them and do a lot of that stuff. In some cases, like I'm not going to do that because I know that like Lucas, for example, he worked like 10 hours, and like I'm not going to ask him to do a buckload of stuff after he's like burned out because his job's like fucking up and overscheduling him. Like there's all this outside circumstance, right? But I find myself
yeah.
in a position where like in the moment I'm irritated, you know? So like it's definitely an interesting balance. And I just have to accept now there's more I tripled the amount of things that I have to make by getting another space. That's totally
Oh
worth
boy.
it. Like it's definitely worth it. Um,
Okay.
but I didn't I haven't set up the systems to plan for that work. And so I constantly feel overwhelmed, like I'm not getting enough stuff done. And then I put off the things that are actually really important, like the Spanish content website. So I've been cleaning a lot, but I spend a lot of time feeling like I should be doing something that I'm not, and I forget what it is in that moment I need to be doing because I didn't clean up the other house or whatever. So what I've been thinking about over the past week is like really wow, my nose is really hot. Is really looking at my habits again and revisiting the sheet that I made and updating it so I can make like a guideline for each day because I kind of fell short of it. Like there's one thing that's permanent now is that I don't ever touch cigarettes, and that's definitely like I can tell that that's real now because there's this
Oh.
change the way I see cigarettes. Like I still all my friends here. Like yesterday, I was hanging out with people, and there were 5 other people, and every single one of them was smoking. And I like all these people. They're people I'm all close to. So I definitely was like, wow, you guys are making this hard. But at the same time, I knew I have put that in my past. I don't do that anymore. And if I want to be a more valuable person to these friends who are all trying to stop, then I can just be the friend who did stop. You know that, and that's valuable. It's very useful, and they know that and they respect that. So that's rare. It's unusual, right?
That's awesome. Can't put a price tag on that. That kind of
Yeah.
vibe
So
that you
so I'm
put
just
out.
saying that because that is one change that I made that actually like there's no like oh I dabble a little bit in it or anything like that. I just don't anymore, and that is very solid. Even though I will want to share it, I understand that it's worse, and I know that I won't be better off by sharing and indulging. Um, and I think the same thing is pretty much true for alcohol in my case, because I personally view alcohol as one of the more dangerous things, and that's just because of the fact that it's poisonous, but it's so convenient and so many people drink alcohol, and in Latin America alcoholism I believe is a bit more common than it is in the United States, just because people don't have as many resources for entertainment. They don't have as many resources to deal with things. So I mean you could argue their families bit more supportive. But it's like part of the culture to drink beer a lot. Like it's very much part of the culture. Like here, even you can drink in public. It's not. There's nothing like I can go out in the street and be drinking a beer, and I'm not committing a crime. I can be in a car with a beer as long as I'm not the driver. I'm not committing a crime or anything. It's really interesting. Um, but that was just another example because I personally don't really get that much out of alcohol. Like I do enjoy times where I'm sharing it with friends, but I probably would enjoy it just as much if I was just drinking tea or something. They had alcohol and we were talking. Because really, what I enjoy is like talking with stuff, right? But I find that like me as an individual, I don't really go out and purchase it, but all my friends are constantly offering it, and that it puts me in this situation where it's like I understand that it brings me more harm. For whatever reason, I get more problems from alcohol than other people. Like I can't have a beer without it making me hurt a little. I could have one beer after a full meal if I was well hydrated and I would be fine. But if I have one
What do you
beer
mean?
on an empty
Do you mean
stomach,
does it hurt your stomach?
no, I get headaches. I get hangovers really, really easily. That's been true for a long, long time. But I can drink the same amount as most people I know, and like while that time period is happening, fine. I'm like the same as them. But once it wears off after an hour or two, I crash much faster than other people do.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I don't think that's because of my body. I think it's because my habit of not eating enough food. So in general,
Yeah.
my body's
And you're
closer
pretty.
to being out of balance.
Yeah.
So
And
the
you're pretty
alcohol
lightweight.
throws it out of balance.
And I get the impression, I'm not sure, you're kind of a lightweight person, like light in
Oh
weight,
yeah,
like
definitely. I don't
pounds.
have much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I weigh like
Body fat.
130
You guys have a lot
pounds.
of body fat. Oh yeah. So that's gonna make an effect
Yeah, it
too,
makes
for
it way
sure.
stronger. Yep.
Can I add anything to this? So I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to
of course.
interrupt. I was just thinking last night because I was hanging out with a friend that I always drink alcohol with, and she doesn't drink that often. She only drinks with me and one other friend, and she doesn't really go out that much, whatever. So it's like, I was thinking I probably could have. We drank wine, and by some people's standards, it was too much. I'm heavy, so it doesn't affect me that much. But but I don't really need the calories, and it's again, it probably there's other things that are probably bad about it for me, and I was thinking I probably could have stopped at any point and just drank ice water, and she wouldn't have minded, and like we probably could have just had as much fun drinking ice water because I just don't even. I'm getting such a tolerance that I don't really. It takes kind of a lot of alcohol now. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. It takes a lot of alcohol for me to get really a strong effect. And I probably could just be just as happy drinking ice water. And the thing with me is, once I have one, I used to stop it too, and I not like that anymore. Once I have two, I'm like, oh, this is fun. Let's have more.
Yeah.
Even though like I said, I'm not even. It's not a super strong effect. I don't know. There's a social aspect to it that you feel like somehow you're going to be a disappointment, or you're not being. It's like your cigarette thing. You feel like somehow you're not being sociable if you're not doing this naughty thing together. It really is like that.
Yeah.
I think it's like this.
It's almost like a
Jack and
romantic notion. Like, let's kill ourselves together.
I guess so, in a way, yeah. It's like everybody knows these things aren't good for us, but somehow you think it's fun if you get together and do it. It's just bizarre. It's really a bizarre
Yeah.
notion. But I'm just as I did some work the other night, and I just had ice water, and I just kept refilling my glass. I'm not a big water drinker usually, but if I have nice ice cold water, it's great, and we have that on our fridge. And I just had yeah. I mean, but it has to be cold, ice cold. But yeah, I was just as content. I was working, doing kind of tedious work, but I kind of got in a little groove, and I was just drinking this ice water, and it was just as enjoyable, really, as sitting with my friend talking and drinking wine. It was just as satisfying. So I really, like, I don't want to put any rules on myself, but I
It's
think
just
I'm going to
something to
try
think
to
about, yeah.
yeah, like no rules, but maybe just Just have some ice water. Just maybe get a ice water habit. Just try to remember to drink a lot of ice water. I don't know. Sorry. So please go on. I didn't mean to
No, you're. I like it when other people are talking. I literally wouldn't do this call if I was the only one talking.
Okay. So what else is going on with you?
I'm definitely not in a very effective working mode. I'm playing World of Warcraft a lot, which is very, because on one hand I totally understand why, and I'm not mad at myself at all, because the World of Warcraft was the most influential MMO that was paid ever. Like, it's huge for considering what I want to do in my future. This
What's
isn't.
MMO? I'm sorry. What's MMO?
MMO
Jeff?
stands for massively multiplayer online.
Oh, okay.
So that's yeah, it means you can play with basically more than like 8 people. You could theoretically play with hundreds of people, right? So World of Warcraft is an interesting case study for this because so it originally launched about 14 years ago, like 2004 or 16 years ago, and it was hugely popular when it launched. And then 4 years later, hit a peak point of immense popularity where there were over 10 million active players. Okay, that's huge. Like, that's more people than are in Nicaragua. And these active players, from my perspective, this is very interesting because for most other video game genres, a gamer may put between 20 and 100 hours in one game, whereas in an MMO, you get metrics of between 100 and 4,000 hours. Like, people who play MMOs pour way, way more time into them compared to
Yeah.
other kinds of video games. And this is specifically because you're not playing alone. You are part of a team of other people. You have a commitment with other people. Like, I meet on Tuesday and Thursday and coordinate with 39 other people to accomplish things in a video game, right? Very social, and that's why people play it. But basically, this happened in the past, and then the company made decisions that led to the decline of the video game. And it still exists today, but is nowhere near as popular as it was at that point. The company realized this and re-released it as it was back then. So right now, you can play the game as it was back then, but this point ends. It's a finite period of time where this is available, and afterwards then they just keep adding the new expansions. So right now is an opportunity to re-experience the most popular MMO of all time in its original form. So that is a very valuable thing for me. I study it a lot, and I want to make an MMO in the future. So work-wise, in that sense, I know it's really, really important because this is an experience I want to understand very fully. I want to know exactly why people play, how they're incentivized, why they keep playing, what brings them in, what brings new players in, all this stuff. I need to understand it very, very well. So for career-wise, that's very important. And like, that's one of the reasons I don't view my video gaming as just like something that is bad for me, because it's very much something that when I'm playing a game, I'm not just thinking, oh, I'm playing this game. I'm thinking like, oh, why did they do that? That's really cool. How could I do that? Like, I'm constantly having these inspired thought patterns of what I can do in my video game, even to the point where I understand the first game I want to make, I know the second game I want to make, and I know the ultimate game I want to make. Like, and I've put so much thought into all of them, and I know how to start each project. I just need to put myself in a position where I have more regularity of income before I can really work on that and prioritize it, and that's the Spanish content website. But at the same time, I need to acknowledge that right now, a huge amount of my energy is going into playing World of Warcraft. And it's interesting because I'm only able to use this energy in this way at this level in video games. In my life, I've never been able to really effectively channel that energy into something else. And I'm trying to learn how I can do that, because the reality is if I had put 1/10 of the amount of time that I've played WoW into the Spanish content website just this year, I'd be like done with the Spanish content website.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
yeah.
tricky.
There's well, I'm sure you know all the studies that have been done about the dopamine hits you get when you use, Facebook, and I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah, no, it's
It,
totally the
it,
same in WoW. Not exactly the same
and
as
so it's like,
Facebook, but very
so
similar.
how do you, yeah, but so how do you, and it goes back again to what everybody wants, to feel loved, respected, fulfilled, and things like that. So it's like, how do you recreate that with the things, the tasks that you should do, quote unquote?
Yeah, that's the trick.
That's the trick. How do you incentivize yourself? Maybe, I mean, it's funny. Chris Lynn was talking the other day, just sort of jokingly, about a cookie, having a cookie after you list. Just, he was sort of joking. I don't think he'll do it, but he was just talking about that. He was saying how, like, on Instagram, there'll be these people who will post, yeah, I was supposed to do this, this, and this today, but instead I ate cookies and it was great. And everybody goes, yeah, like you get so much validation for that. And he's like, so then someone said something about like eat a cookie after you list, and he's talked about it before, even like to have a beer after you list, or I don't know. I'm not, we don't want to do the beer thing, but and you really don't want to do the cookie thing. But there's got to be some like way to look at it. Like I think normal people do this a little bit. I don't know what normal is, but I think I'm brainstorming here, but they do. They have plans that they are looking forward to, and then that helps them to get through the day. Like people that work for the weekend, for
Yeah.
instance, they're excited about the weekend to go drinking or whatever, and that gets them through the week. But it's just it's just one example, but it kind of shows the human nature, right?
Yeah, that touches on some of the. So there's some things that I've learned about myself as a person because I haven't had a forced commitment for over 3 years. Like everything that I do is something I'm choosing to do. Right? Like later today, a friend's coming over. Like I chose to have that happen. This call is happening.
Right.
I chose to have that call happen. There's no
Right.
regular part of my life where I'm forced to do something else. What I've
Right.
found is that you need to have things that prevent you from having what you want in life. Like in a world where a human has everything that they need, they do barely anything. Like we have to have something that stops us from having something that we want in order to want something in a strong and real way. And I
Yeah,
understand this
I know what
very
you're
well
saying.
about myself now because like the reality is I've had tons of days where I literally have all day to do whatever I want for multiple weeks. And it's easy to be depressed. It's easier to be depressed than to be happy in that lifestyle. Because in order to be happy, you have to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself. You have to put yourself in situations that you may not want to do in the moment. And that is how you have to be healthy. And I understand that now, and I do that on a regular basis. But that's because of a lot of experience where I see that when you actually have all the time that you want, all the time that you need, your time, it feels less valuable. It really does. Like when you are forced to do things that you don't want, it makes the time that you have to do things you want, it makes you look forward to it. It makes you know when it's going to happen. It increases the chance that you're going to plan it. Whereas if you just have it all the time, it's so easy to just take it for granted. And it's almost unsettling knowing that, like knowing how many of us pursue things that ultimately, if we had them in the very beginning, we would still be pretty much the same. And it's weird that like life is more about that pursuit of the change and things that you want to bring into your life than what you actually have. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, so how could you build that into your day so that you get done what you want to get done?
I think it boils down to focusing more on the cleanliness of the environments.
Okay.
I've reflected a lot, and basically, I just wasn't aware of how much more work it would be to have another place, and I didn't set up a system to account for that work. I was still using the system of having one place. I can't use the same system. And basically, I think everything came from that because having the other place is very worth it. Like emotionally, I feel like I'm more able to control my emotions to respond to them healthfully because anytime something's going wrong, I can just go to the other house. And like there's times where I'm overwhelmed by the environment and I just come here, I just come home. And so what I have to do is set up a priority basically. It's like, okay, first thing to be clean is the kitchen in the house. That's the priority. Kitchen is clean. Next priority is the bathroom and the common space. After that, it's my room. After that, then it's components of the other house. Because basically, it's interesting because in this house where I live, I'm not the cleanest influence. I'm one of the influences to, but I feel a desire here to clean up because I know other people will be bothered. Whereas in the other house, I am that person. Like I'm the person who will be bothered if it's not clean. So the others are feeling like that a little bit, but there's not like here. Camila cleans up a lot and is a really clean person. She doesn't always clean up after herself, but she's a clean person. She cares about that, and like she will get bothered if I make a mess or something. Well, and that helps me. It helps me be a more clean person because ultimately that's what I want. I want to be a person who lives a life where I am being patient and when I use something, I am being slow and I take it out of its home and I put it back when it's done. Instead of just running
Mind,
around and just doing stuff, I'm
mindful.
mindful. Yeah,
Mindful.
exactly. Like that's what I want. I really want that. Um so and I've definitely observed that as long as I feel like one of the places is clean and in a good condition, I can be in another one that's dirty and not be that bothered by it. So, like, if I know that the house and the kitchen is clean, but the office is a bit messy, it doesn't really bother me that much. And but what often does happen is like I know that my room's a little bit messy for some reason, and I'm in the office, and even though I've cleaned the office, I haven't gotten away from that feelings of messiness in general in my room, even though I'm not even in that environment, and it affects me, even though I'm not there, and it's really weird, like really weird. And a lot of this I see now. I just need to sit down and be like, okay, what are my priorities for cleaning an environment? How am I going to deal with both of these places? Like right now in the other house, we have a huge mango problem. Like there is a mango pile that has like 300 mangoes in it that is
Oh my
rotting and
god.
fermenting and like
Oh
it's
jeez.
it's at this point where in order to throw the mangoes away, we would be throwing away 3 times as much trash as we create every day just in mangoes.
Oh, oh
Like
wow.
I don't fucking know what to do. Like so overwhelmed about the mango situation.
How long is mango season? Is it almost over or just starting? Or?
Some mango trees can drop mangoes all year in this
Oh
climate.
good god.
And we
Then
have a really, really big tree. So,
you need to invite people to come and pick mangoes.
yeah,
Charge
no,
them.
no, the reality is for us to deal with this, we need a system in place of distributing product amongst
Yes.
a
Yeah.
community of people.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a fucking business. I could set up a
Yeah.
business and it would be that much work. But in this case,
That's
it's just to
cool.
get rid of flies.
Yeah. But that's abundant though. To have it's abundance. It's just gotta figure out your system. That's all.
Yeah, so many. And I guess aside from that, like with the gaming, I know I'm gonna play WoW a lot. That's just how it is. I'm because there's a part of me that's really satisfied because my father's death really fucked with my childhood a lot, and
Right.
ultimately, my childhood kind of ended when I was like 13. Um, and before it ended, I really liked playing a lot of WoW, and that's like all I did. I was just a little kid, and I would eat ramen and play World of Warcraft. Now I feel like I've been able to like reconnect the dots because now I'm doing the same things, except I'm way, way, way better at them, and I'm way more grown, and I'm making tutorials about them and getting a reputation and involved with some really interesting. That part's really cool, and it helps like because it shows me that like I'm able to revisit the things that I cared about as a child and overcome the fact that I had a 10-year period where my childhood was interrupted. And that's really valuable, like very, very important because this basically what started most of my actual progress in life and what if I look at the events that led to becoming a person who can earn their own money and isn't relying on another person and has availability of free time, it started with the desire to reconnect with things in my childhood. And specifically, it was going out and buying some video games to play them. Then I ended up reselling them on eBay, and then I really got deep into eBay, and then I got into drop shipping, and then I got into YouTube, and then I got into Nicaragua. It all started with revisiting stuff from the childhood. And I very much understand now that that's a fundamental part of building your life is understanding who you are in a very deep way, what you enjoy, what parts of yourself have
Yes.
you sort of cut out, so to speak,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
figuring out how to bring those back into who you are, right?
Yeah.
I'm just getting at this because I really don't perceive my video gaming as something that is like a bad thing. It's very much part of a very big picture, but it is something I should control a little bit more. And one of the examples is that I don't think I should use a screen for the first hour of the day, basically. It's really easy for me to wake up and just like have some tea and then play a game or something. Because in general, games are more fun when you wake up because you have more like dopamine and you have more a
Yeah.
fresh
You're already
mentality.
happy. You're
Yeah,
happy.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
already
it's
happy.
like things are more enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely a headspace I get where I'm like used to being in a virtual world and I just want to keep doing that and continue it. And that can distract me from other things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely see that starting the day with it is bad, but having some kind of reward system would be really well. So that's the main thing I'm trying to figure out. Because you've seen the sheet I made a while ago. I worked on like that, those habit things. Now I need to
Yeah.
revisit those, but consider the fact that I'm putting most of my effort into video games. Figure out how to like. I'm not trying to change that. I'm still going to put more energy into playing World of Warcraft than anything else in my life. I know that. I'm okay with that. Um, but I do want to control it a bit better. And so one of the ways to do that is to limit the amount of time. For example, with marijuana, like I usually don't smoke marijuana until I've been awake for 3 hours. That isn't very long for a lot of people, but it's really, really helpful because most of the time, when that much time has passed, I kind of have gotten involved with other stuff and I forget about it, and then I end up smoking like after I've been awake for 6 hours or 8 hours.
Nice. Yeah.
Whereas it's a healthy system, right? And I want to do something similar
Yeah.
with video games, but I think what might work well with video games. Um, is setting it up because I'm gonna want to play a game every single day. So this is something I can use to reward myself for something very feasible. So what I need to figure out is how can I play games in response to working on the Spanish content website? So how can I put
Yeah.
myself in a situation where I don't play a game unless I've touched the website? Like I don't even have
Yeah.
to improve it a lot. I want to be in a position where I'm working on the Spanish content website for 5 minutes and then I'm playing games for 4 hours every single day. And then after a
That's
week,
what I need to
I've
do.
done 30 minutes of time. Like that's what I need to
I
do.
like it.
So
I like it. I should do that with eBay. One listing, and then I can do whatever I want.
yeah.
Yay! I mean, that's kind of the same thing, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Just,
yeah.
and then at the end of a month, I've listed 30 things. Woo!
Yeah.
You know, instead of zero. Yeah, so,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
solid,
that
solid.
could work. It could work. I think I might do that. That sounds fun. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
trying
yeah,
to
but it's
think.
got to be something. Yeah, it's got to be something more specific than whatever I want. I don't know what. I don't know what's rewarding enough. I don't feel like I have normal feelings like other people. I don't think I create a lot of the feel good chemicals. I've always been like that. Like when people talk about the runner's high, I don't know what that is. You know, I don't really. It takes a lot to evoke strong feelings in me. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a little bit hard. And that's the same thing as it's like some people can, challenge themselves. They really want that Lamborghini. So they're just going to work themselves to death.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I don't care. So that's the hard part for me, is finding something that feels rewarding enough that would make me want to do that listing. And the listing's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. But
Yeah, it's a good point. What is something that you know you will do every day? Yeah, 'cause in my case, it's a lot easier because I know by habit I will play a game every day. So I don't need to identify that thing. I already have a specific thing that I know I will do. And I just need to tie a process into the beginning of that. And it helps because, like, I've totally noticed I have more fun in the game if I wait, I know I want to play, I clean my desk, I get some water, go to the bathroom, take a shower, make bed, do this stuff, and then clean and play in an organized way. It even is true in the game. Oh yeah, totally. And like in the game, you can do things that prepare so that when you play next, it's easier. And when I do that, I have more fun. Like it's totally motivating. Definitely motivating. And it's not even like I feel better. Like I literally enjoy the game more because when I'm playing a game and I'm not doing my tasks in life that I care about, I never forget that I haven't done those things. I always know, and a little part of me is always like, "Oh, I should do that," and that part interrupts me from really getting into the game. And like, if I want to enjoy a game, I have to do my fulfilling tasks in life. That is literally how it works. And one of the things that has led me to doing more fulfilling tasks is knowing that if I don't do them at all for weeks, I can't enjoy shit. Nothing's interesting to me. But if I have been doing more fulfilling tasks, then things are more interesting and enjoyable. So it sounds like I just got to look at my morning routine.
Yeah. I'm going to have to ponder for a little while to figure out what I need to do. Yeah, I don't know what seems rewarding enough. I'm just not that. I don't know. I guess it's probably right there in front of me, and I'm just not seeing it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how it is sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
for me, it's easy.
So
it's video games or weed. Easy.
Wow. I mean, I like drinking, but I'm not trying to drink more.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know if that would be a good one. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. I mean, I have been toying with the idea that maybe it's not a big deal that I drink. Whatever.
It depends on you have to look at what happens when you drink. Like one thing that I often end up in this situation where I am explaining about how something affects me. So like my friends, for example, they really enjoy drinking. A lot of them drink all the time. And when I talk about how something's bad for me, they get hurt. And they're great friends. But that's kind of why they get hurt, because they care about me and they see that I'm saying something's really bad for me and they're doing it, so they feel hurt. And like it's reality, right? Yeah. But it makes it a bit tricky because they're not going to stop, and I don't want them to feel judged, but they do feel judged. So
that's something that they've got to work through. Everybody's got to work through. I can't really. That's the same thing as me drinking ice water. I can't worry about if I'm somehow disappointing someone by drinking ice water instead of
alcohol. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you here for me, or are you here for Rita, or are you here for drunk Rita?
Yeah.
I think my friends like me for myself. I don't think I need to. I mean, all right, I'm just sort of speaking this out loud. I hope it's true. But I don't think my friends just like me drunk. I think they like me when I'm sober too. So I don't have to drink to somehow socialize with them. You know what I mean? I think I have to get over that notion. I think that's a false belief that I've had. So yeah. So I don't know. So, yeah, maybe I'm only quote unquote allowed to party, drink alcohol is if I've done my one listing a day. Maybe that's valid. I mean, it's certainly worth trying. There's no mistakes.
Yeah.
I can just try it out, see if it seems to be effective, and feel good. I don't want to get in the beating up phase, and that's why I stopped posting my list, because I felt like I was beating myself up a little bit with it. Did I shower today? Oh shit! It's like, nobody needs to know if I showered today. No one cares. But it
Yeah,
just
it's so tricky. If you build that part of yourself up, then that directly causes you to not do things that make you happy. Like, it's so
I
frustrating.
guess so. I guess so. It's just like, but it wasn't a bad thing to do it for a little while, because now I do. Now I take a shower almost every day, which I wasn't before. So it's not. It did have its value, but now I don't feel like I need to do that anymore. It's kind of like you with the smoking marijuana. You don't have to put that on a list probably anymore, because not marijuana, cigarettes.
Yeah,
That no
yeah.
longer needs to be on your list, because of the list, and because you tried, you were able to get one of the things, really where you want it. And I think you're doing better with your eating too, aren't you? With your you eat in the morning.
I go through phases. Actually, the past 2 or 3 days, I've had a really strong appetite.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Like, I went to bed at like 2, and then I woke up at 4 and cooked food and ate, and then back to sleep. And when I woke up, I
Nice.
wanted more food. It was weird.
Nice.
Like, normally I don't care about food at all, but um, yeah, I think that has a bit to do with it as well. Because now, when I'm not eating properly, it's when I'm just drinking coffee. And I haven't done that recently, but there's a couple times over the past month where like I would just wake up and drink coffee without having food. And
Uh-huh.
that very much it leads to everything else not going well, basically.
That's good to know. I mean, you know what else? I wonder if your appetite is a little better because of not smoking too. Is that possible?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. All stimulants decrease appetite. I have observed that there is an effect where you will consume a stimulant, whether it's caffeine or whatever, and immediately while you're under the effects of it, the appetite is suppressed. But then after that goes
Uh-huh.
away, then it feels like you feel more hungry after the
Yeah,
suppression
it
is
goes
gone.
roaring back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
totally.
sometimes I see now that when I'm not eating, it's not because I'm not hungry really. It's because of my childhood, and I'm so used to being hungry that my body will quickly stop giving me the feeling of hunger and just give the feeling of like a hurting stomach because it doesn't think I'm going to give myself food. And that now that I've
Uh-huh.
gotten better about feeding myself, I can see that as long as I keep feeding myself, I stay hungry. But if I stop for like a period of 8 hours or something, then my body goes into this different state and I
Yeah,
become very uninterested in food. Um,
interesting.
and
The
I'm still,
starvation mode.
yeah,
Starvation mode. Your
yeah,
metabolism probably slows down and all that. Oh. Hmm. Well, seems like we got some stuff done today.
yeah. No,
I'm
this totally feels productive. Sometimes I'm nervous about talking on these calls, especially when like I'm not able to be as productive as I want to be. But then there's something about just admitting that and being able to talk through it, and it makes me see why the calls are so important.
Yeah. Um, and getting a good vibration going and getting a plan going is very productive. Even though you can't see the results yet, you know, there'll be something come out of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm gonna have to get some lunch because I have a walk at 1 and I need to get something. But
Okay. Do
I'm
you
gonna
have
have to
time
get
to help
going.
me pick a Skillshare course real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. See what we got
Huh. If you search for appetite, there's courses about creating engaging and digestible blog content, how to write a
here.
movie script, how to draw food, How to overcome anxiety and depression naturally. I feel like I have that much anxiety or depression.
I bet there could be something good in there for us, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't you think so? That it kind of, I kind of like the sound of it. I have anxiety sometimes. It's getting better, but
Hello, friends.
I think
My
there
name
might
is
be something
Shankar.
valuable in that course. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. All right, here it is.
All right.
Got our course.
All right.
Share it real
That was easy.
quick. And so I'm gonna be remaking my kind of task sheet and specifically trying to figure out about how I need to integrate video game playing into my routine. So what specifically I need to set up a daily thing where it's like, okay, it's like with coffee. I can't have coffee unless I have food right before it. So how did I accomplish that? By always making sure there's something snackable in my fridge. Because if I want coffee and there's nothing snackable, I'm just going to drink coffee, right? But
Yeah.
as long as there is always food, I will eat the food as long as it's there. So the key is to plan ahead and make sure that it's always available. Like if I run out of eggs and milk, bread, then like I'm probably not the only other thing I eat really with coffee that's really quick is like yogurt and fruit. So if I don't have any of those five things, then I'm just gonna drink the coffee. And so I know like okay, that's bad. So I have to make sure I have at least one of these five things at all times. Um, so I'm gonna figure out the same thing with the video gaming habit. I've been these thoughts have been brewing, really inspired in the past like 2 or 3 days, because I see that I enjoy the games more in certain circumstances. I'm more aware, and those cases are when I've done fulfilling tasks and I've moved my environments forward, and then I'm playing games. So I'm gonna look at my sheet and redo it and restart the tracking, and address that and figure out some other. Well, but that's gonna be the thing I. And we got our course. So next week, guys, we'll talk about what we learned from this course. It's about overcoming depression and anxiety. Supposedly 5 strategies for it. Like this guy, he looks zen.
And I'm gonna try. I'm gonna put as my task to do one eBay listing first thing in the morning, and that's after I've laid around for a while and listen to my YouTube
So not first thing in the
inspirational
morning.
stuff. That first thing, like maybe I can listen to one video though instead of like going on and on and on. You know, just listen to one. You know, get the good vibes, and then do one listing. It's not that hard. I have to keep telling myself that. It's always seems so insurmountable. One listing, no. Anyway, but I just do, you know, go pee, listen to my video, and then do one listing. That's it.
Realistic.
All right. I'm gonna put it in the chat thingy, the Discord.
Still can't see live stream. So weird. I think it's because I'm not signed in. It's a new phone, so I'm just like, oh, here we go. I see it. Hey,
Oh,
there were
that's what
7
it
people
is.
watching. Crazy.
Okay.
All right, guys. Rita, you said you're gonna head out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, get going.
If any of you are watching, I see hello Johnny Mathis. What's sold on eBay? Oh, that's you. Islander, Garuba Gaming, and Oberdy. GaryVMarock.com. What's up, guys? You guys said hello, but I wasn't looking in the chat. If any of you are still listening, I'm about to end the call, but I'm happy to respond to any kind of questions that like right now. So if you ask something, I will respond. 7's pretty good, actually.
Goodbye.
See you,
Bye,
Rita.
guys.
I'll just give it like 1 or 2 more minutes. I'm actually going to go blow my nose because I've been dripping throughout this entire video. If you want to say anything, just post a question in the chat. And as soon as I get back from the bathroom in like 2 minutes, I will talk about it or answer it. You're welcome to ask about anything at all. All right. I guess no one's saying anything in the chat. Is that it? All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.